team's camp compare to your first camp?
It was pretty good. It was probably, of all the camps, probably the most similar, just being in a new spot and adjusting to new things. Whole new staff, entirely new players. So there's probably some similarities to it. I think, from a personal standpoint, I think I'm, much further along.
Were you lost
in my,
at the rookie?
I think every rookie to a certain extent is lost at certain times. There's no question about that. Yeah, so in that way it's much different, but it's also kind of hard to remember. It was a while ago. So.
When did you, in this camp, when did you start to really feel like a master of the offense? Like, I know what Frank wants to do. I know what we're trying to do. I'm not figuring out what we're doing. I know what we're trying to do.
I mean, it's hard to put a date on any of that stuff. I feel like as we continue to go, I continue to get more comfortable. But I still feel like I can be better in it too, and still feel like there's work to do. But certainly, feel a lot more comfortable just in terms of the terminology, in terms of the checks, in terms of our protections. It's, the key is for it to become second nature where you're not really thinking about it. And I think that's what this time of the year is so valuable for, is that you get to a space where you don't know how you know it, but you just know it. And
Second nature yet?
Yeah, I think so. I think on a lot of parts of the offense we're there. Not only myself, but a lot of the guys. And we still got a week and a half or two to kind of prep before we get into our first week game plan, and we've got to continue to push that.
Like you said, with new players, new receivers, to you like to just run up live reps to kind of understand what their best routes are. So how much more do you know about these guys today than maybe when you started here?
I think a lot. I think part of what's great about this time of the year is there's no repercussions for for not executing, right? You've got to push the limits. You got to test yourself and see what's going to make the final cut as we keep going. And I think that's an invaluable part of getting better. Is to some extent that failure, right? Of kind of eliminating, saying, all right, we tried that, we tried it again, maybe that's not something we do. And I think it makes, things tighter and cleaner. And so I certainly feel like, I've got a much better feel for the group of players that we have. And I also think that they've got a better feel for how I operate too, and how the ball's coming out and where I expect them to be.
Matt, what about you and Frank and the importance of the two of you being on the same page, speaking the same language, but you also didn't know each other, and this is a new scheme. So how has that process come, and have you guys kind of formed that synergy yet?
Yeah, I think so. I think we put in a lot of hard work, during the OTAs. But when you have kind of this expanded schedule during training camp, and you really get to spend, a long day together, 5, 6, 7 days a week, you accelerate, that part of it. And I think it's been great. I think we've done a great job of setting the expectation for each other. I think, I know what Frank expects from me. I think he's been very clear with that. And I've certainly, lent my input on a lot of different things. And I feel like we're in a really good space right now.
Matt, what do you see from the other Matt Pryor and how he's developed at left tackle?
Yeah, I think Matt's done a nice job during training camp of, getting comfortable within the scheme, playing next to, Q, and I think he's done, a really good job for us. He's a big, strong, physical player, and he works hard. He gets after it, and I've been impressed with him during camp.
What was the anticipation and the adrenaline of this moment for you, week one debut, this new chapter? When does that kick in, or has it already kicked in behind the scenes?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting for sure, but I think you're here. When you're here every day, it starts to become normal. You start to get into that rhythm as a player. And I think the anticipation is kind of, for me, the same as every season. You're excited about, what's in front of you. You're excited about the team that we have. I mean, it's there. We still got another game to play before we get going too, and so we've got to go out there and put in the work and have a good showing, Saturday night and kind of hammer through the details that we need to hammer through before that first one. But, definitely you get through that last preseason game and that anticipation starts to build up. I also think, as a veteran guy, I think, you try not to make things bigger than they really are, right? It comes down to going out there and playing well, settling in, executing, doing those things. And I think with experience, I've gotten better at that throughout my career. Not to say I'm not excited, but it just, sometimes you need to take a deep breath and just, focus on what you need to do.
Matt, you talked about early in camp about nipping some of the mental errors in the bud and kind of preventing those lows. Do you feel like you accomplished that and kept the quality of work high throughout camp?
I do. I really do. I think the attention to detail, the focus has been really good. I think the barometer is always in those walkthrough periods of, sometimes during training camp those can get redundant. And the focus our guys have is really good. And that's one of the things when you're not have to make, a ton of corrections or you're not asking for focus during those times when guys just show up, do their job. There's not a whole lot of BS. That's encouraging. I think, it's a credit to Frank and the culture, that he and Chris have created here and the guys that they brought in. It's also a credit to the players. I mean, of finding value in those periods. And I say to our guys all the time, it might be the only rep we get, at a certain look or a certain scheme. And if you don't view it as that's a game rep or, that might be the thing that makes a difference for us in a game, then we're wasting, our time. And our guys have certainly locked in during those times. They've done a great job.
Matt, what should the expectations of this team be?
I think we'll get through this week and finish up. And then as far as, long-term expectations, we have an understanding of where we want to go. But the only way you get there is to attack it week after week. And so it has to be about playing well week one. And that's the expectation we have to have for ourselves, to be ready to go down there to Houston, play our best football, and find a way to get a win.
So you really can't look long term, or
no,
week one's not.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has the long-term expectation of winning a championship and wanting to win the division and doing those things. If you're constantly, your eyes are there, you're going to miss the important things that you need to kind of take care of along the way. And so I've always thought, you make the big things little, in life or in sports or whatever. You have these big things that you want to accomplish. How do you do it? You take little steps along the way. And I think it makes it more reasonable, more easily, or I don't know the right way to say it, but easier to handle. And you don't overwhelm yourself. And that's really, the message I'll have to the guys.
Frank said around last one here on Saturday for you. Do you watch film? Do you game plan at all? Obviously, Tampa. I mean, I don't know how much you put into trying to treat it like a regular season game.
Yeah, I think not quite as much, as a regular season game. For me, it's kind of nice we're going against them. I have a lot of familiarity of their scheme and playing against, their personnel for a long time. But it's also them. They're very good, so it's a good test for us. It's not the regular season, and the focus is not the same as the regular season. The focus is on us and making sure that, we're getting ourselves ready and, getting ourselves to where we want to be week one.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.